Institute, brought to you by The Real Spiel, the channel that tells no lies. Listen, Adi Al Katani, the Spice Man, how are you, brother? Haven't said a shout out to you in a while. Um, Adonai Skincare, I've heard from you on Instagram, but I haven't seen you. I haven't seen you out here. Adonai Skincare. And to Yvonne, Miss Ann, all the Cyclopses that are in the building. Timothy Davis, what's going on? Listen, what's being made abundantly clear about Israel's position. Hello, Yvonne. How you doing? Grace and peace to you, my dear. Israel ain't having no talk about a ceasefire. The UN passed their. They're saying that Israel, they passed an agreement saying, or concord, or whatever you want to call it, that Israel is in violation of international law, or they will be in violation of international law if they do not agree to a compassionate humanitarian ceasefire. And Israel has said, unequivocally, no, they're not interested in a ceasefire. They will not have a ceasefire. It's very clear, like these two sides have they've dug into what they believe to be what it is. I've had friends of mine say, well, most of the Israelis who were killed on October 7th were killed via Israeli helicopters. They were killed, they shot up cars that had Israelis in it. You also hear Israelis say, no, they beheaded babies, they burnt babies, like 1,100 people died. This never happened. They're claiming that this is 9/11 times 20. They're saying that, America would never agree to a ceasefire after 9/11. America would never agree to a ceasefire after Pearl Harbor. And all of these positions have been, routed in iron. Like nobody's moving from these positions that they have about these conversations, this mentality. So, and then you have, of course, the individuals who are seeing, the issues that are taking place from the Palestinian perspective, and people don't know where to turn with respect to this thought. Little kids are asking their parents, "Mommy, Daddy, who do you agree with? Do you agree with Palestine or Israel?" Little children. I know of a friend of mine. Her daughter asked her grandmother, black child, asked her black grandmother, whose side are you on with this? And very interesting answer. It's almost brilliant, but very interesting answer. She said, grandmother answered, when it's black people getting killed, nobody's picking sides. And I'm not picking one either. That was her answer. Some people believe that this is a conversation of good versus evil. Israel believes that they're on the forefront of a worldwide battle against terror that's based from an Iranian regime that is intent on world domination. So you have every so-called conspiracy theory, every political perspective, and then this is the one that I would like to discuss right now. I discussed it a little bit, and I'm gonna mess with it a little more. I didn't check. I don't really look at these things very much because I personally don't see it to be possible. But it says a pastor converts to Islam and then starts to debate Christians, and gets into that. He converts to Islam and then starts to debate Christianity. So this is what this conflict is raising up in the West. I'll say the West mostly, but it's raising up religious consciousness where and I this is why I don't really listen to nonsense when I hear a pastor got converted and things like that, because I know better. I know what constitutes being a Christian pastor for the most part. For many people, it doesn't mean they're actually informed about the faith. People can call themselves a pastor very easily. I can call myself anything, and you'll believe me too. And so to hear a pastor is converted, it doesn't rock me that somebody calling themselves a pastor has now been convinced of the area of what they thought was what they were convinced about has been changed. I have known Christian people, especially in the black church, to be very volatile with their belief system. Anybody can come in there, and we've created that because we've opened up the doors for all of these celebrity speakers. Anyone who comes in there, basically whatever they tell you, you believe. Your pastor could have told you something the complete opposite yesterday. Somebody else comes in tomorrow, and they tell you something, you believe that. Somebody else comes in the next day, you believe that. So Christianity, on a very surface level, especially in the black church, and I'll call it the charismatic circles and the emotional Christian base, they're not based on information, and their faith is more emotional. Their faith is more experiential, and therefore they don't necessarily stand on the rudiments of the faith in respect to how they believe it, nor do they operate commonly from a place of absolutely convinced. Christianity, modern Christianity is very similar to a party system a lot of times, where people, you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. The denominationalism is like that. Today I'm a Baptist, tomorrow I'm a Pentecostal, the next day I'm a Methodist, and we've become in Christianity we've become very partial to new information and change, and so those things don't surprise me. And especially when I have a friend of mine, we're going to do a show. Might try to come on tonight. I'll see what she's saying, or tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow's not good, but maybe sooner than later. And she wants to discuss her. I said this in a couple days ago. She wants to discuss her desire to investigate Islam again, because she was a Muslim. She called herself a Muslim at one time, and then she converted, and she's gone back and forth in her beliefs, and she obviously would, because her belief system has been more of an emotional conviction than a truth search, which seemingly she's trying to do a truth search now. And so we'll have that discussion with her and see where she is again. But I have adopted a lot of different perspectives when it comes to modern day Christianity or modern day faith, and I've adopted the same perspective when it comes to politics, and that perspective is this: Christianity is an objective thing. It is a specific thing. For me, it is not a changeable thing, because I am not a believer. I am a knower. I know whom I believe in. I know what I believe in, and therefore I am not subject to the change of perspective, because that is what I am. It's not what I believe only. It's what I actually am. And so my organic nature has been rooted in who my God is, and the belief system that I have searched out both in academia and in experience, and I have found him, and he has found me to be what I am, and I found him to be what he is. And so I'm not convertible. I'm not an individual that can be swayed in any direction other than where I can currently stand. Not because I am closed-minded. It is because I have been open-minded, and the God of truth closed the book on what I need to know and see about him. A lot of people feel that when you come to have a conversation with them, and their conversation is, their information is not as in depth, that you should be open-minded to their information. And it would be similar to a physics teacher going to a grade 1 class trying to teach arithmetic, and the grade 1 kid saying you need to be open-minded, that 1 and 1 could be 11. So I understand that people wish to be received at the place that they are, and I think you should receive people at the place that they are, but don't try to convert the converted. And if you're looking for information, I don't have to pacify you with pandering to what you think is true, because that's not my role. My role is to teach you what I know. It is not to pander to what you feel. Secondly, I never tout myself as an expert of somebody else's religion. I can say what I know about Islam, what I know about the Nation of Islam, what I know about Islam, fundamentalist Islam, and I can say, based on what I know, this is an opinion I have drawn based on what I've known. But I would never tout myself as an expert in any other religion. I think it's even dangerous to call yourself an expert of religion, because that would make you an expert of God, and there's no God experts around. So, and even the word scholar is a very strong word, because scholar, to be a scholar means that you are the one writing, not just the one studying. You are the one putting out the thought for people to read. And I have articled a few books. I've ghostwritten a very in-depth volume called the Oneness of God Project, Volume 1. It was actually, the information was gathered by a doctor of theology, who was a doctor from our seminary. I was a seminarian. Grant gave her doctorate for her research, and her research was incredible. And but our church at the time, we gathered her information. We put it in a book. It's called the Oneness of God Project, Volume 1. And I was the ghostwriter of that particular book, and the assembler and publisher of that book. So from the perspective of scholar, I have written and put pieces together, but I would still not tout myself as a scholar. I think a Christian scholar, and don't get me wrong, I've called myself a scholar because I think I know what I'm talking about. But just to be fair, and to not mistreat or misuse the word, a Christian scholar, for me, to call yourself a Christian scholar, yes, you have to have books that you've written, published, and I have that. But I also think you have to be somebody who's very, very cognizant of the history. I have that. You have to be somebody who understands the languages of Christianity. And the languages of Christianity are Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. You need all three. And luckily we have concordances, so we don't have to learn those. So, I can kind of say I have that. But also you have to be someone who is knowledgeable about what other so-called scholars are writing. And I don't do that. I don't do that much. I look into some things, but I don't do that much. I look into the ancient writings, but popular writings, popular scholarship, new scholarship, I don't really seek it out that often. So I'm too busy trying to produce my own material. So saying that, I still don't hold on to that title of scholar very hard, because we're talking about God here, and there's a lot of arrogant people who think that they're experts on God, and that's not a thing. Then you move on to politics. Politics is a changing business. It's a really shifty, changing business. It's very perspective based. It's very subjective. If you get caught up too much, you just start repeating what everybody else is saying, and you don't actually get into the nuances of your own research and your own analysis. Politics must be analysis. I mean, a couple of days ago, the presidential debates began in America. And when once asked the question of what would you tell Benjamin Netanyahu, basically every one of those candidates started the same way. They said the same thing. They all, every Republican absolutely 100% threw all of their support behind Israel, because they know you cannot say anything negative against Israel and be elected the president of the United States. There's too many Jews in power, there's too many Jews to vote, and there's too many Jews that control the electoral process. You can't do it. You've got to say that you support Israel. You've got to say that you're supporting what they're doing right now. And then they broke down into attacking each other on how they would support each other or support Israel with those same type of things. So it was very interesting listening to that. And politics is that. And politics is it's not always the truth. It's not always what is really on your mind. That's the problem. There's a difference between the politician and the man of God. The man of God has to speak what's on his mind, speak what's on his spirit, speak what's on it, regardless of what. Man of God has to stand on the fact that what he is saying is not going to be popular, where the politician better say what's popular. And if you try to avoid that, you're going to have a very poor career in politics. And so right now, as you can see, the pendulum switches all the time. The pro-Palestinian rhetoric, we're about to see a shift out. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to go back and to listen to me. Everything I said to you at the very beginning of this was true. I don't think I missed one single thing. Not one single thing. I talked about what had to happen and how it had to happen. I knew Israel would take a very harsh stance. I knew they would try to get in there and absolutely demolish Gaza. They do not want that place repopulated whatsoever. They've said it plainly. We must destroy Hamas. And America and American politicians, even the elects or the ones coming up, everyone stands behind the fact that they believe whatever it takes to demolish Hamas, Israel will do. And Hamas will be a boogeyman for a long time in Israel. Long after there's no trace of them in Gaza, they will be a boogeyman for a very long time, because the boogeymen is not just Hamas. It's a three-headed beast of Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. And so Israel's not in this for a short term. This is not a short-term fight. Unfortunately, it's not a short-term fight. Netanyahu's entire administration will be wrapped up in war. And yeah, people get tired of it. People are having, you Western liberal bleeding hearts. It's crazy how, they have these incredible demonstrations. They go somewhere, they stand in front of a building, and they start fighting police, people who are not connected any way, shape, or form to the Middle East or to Israel. And they start this big, we demand peace, and they've got signs, and you're shouting, and you're screaming, and you're holding up pictures, and you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. You really are. You're just a bunch of guys doing nothing. And it's a shame that we have such a penchant to do absolutely nothing but do the most while we're doing it. It's an actual shame. That's how we human beings do that. And even the politicians that are talking very big, Turkey calling Israel a terrorist state, which everybody has the right to have their opinion. But Turkey's not going to do nothing about it. Like, everybody's talking big, but they're not going to do anything about it, because what was unclear is now clear. The American military is going to stand 10 toes down behind Israel. And a fight with Israel is a fight with America. Right now, that's what it is. And all the big talking that even Putin has done at the beginning, he's not backing that up. He's got his own troubles in his backyard, and China's not doing anything either. That's why Biden hurried up over there, shaking hands with one of the Chinese leading men. Okay, and basically that's about, yo, bro, we're gonna be over there for a while, and let's not stop our money, but we're gonna be over there supporting Israel for a while. So don't get involved in that. Let us handle that. Don't get involved. We've been there for longer than you. And, you know, Biden is doing all the handshaking and pacifying all the side deals. Listen, if you don't get involved, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. That's a long-term battle to eradicate who America and Israel deem to be their enemies. And if anyone gets involved in that, they're going to find themselves right in the middle of an American smackdown. And once all of the, I'll call them other agents, and America started poking their nose into Syria and all these other areas, and they started fighting back, they picked a fight with America that America is gonna finish it. And so, again, Israel, there's no difference between Israel and America. Right now, there's no difference. You're fighting Israel, you're fighting America. And everybody's gotten to know that's to be the case. America abstained from their vote in the UN, and you know, they're not going to ask Israel to do anything. No one is. No one can. No one's going to be able to ask that country to do anything for fear of America. And they're actually going to get to run roughshod through that entire area. And there's nothing anybody else can do about it. The best thing that can happen, like I said, again, the Palestinians going to be an international refugee. Countries all over the place are going to open up their doors. This Canadian Prime Minister has already told us he wants to bring 50,000 or some very high number. I don't know how Canada's going to vet people. I'm an immigrant. I have no issue with immigrants coming to any particular place. I'm an immigrant. This country doesn't belong to me. I got here the same way most people got here. And they're going to bring 50,000 or more Palestinians here. They're going to set them up. They're going to have bank accounts. They're going to have great places to live. They're going to have jobs overnight, while the Africans, the West Africans that came here, are still on the street in Toronto, still on the street in Ajax, still on the street in the West. And what that grandmother said to her child is true. That these are not battles that sometimes even include individuals that look like me. They're really not my fight. They will trickle down. There's a trickle down effect that affects me in some way, shape, or form. And it's usually very negative. It's a very negative scenario. Where, again, when you have a scenario where you're still a minority, you're still dealing with lack of access, glass ceilings over your head, jobs that you're qualified for that you would never even get an interview for, and now you're adding another large group of qualified, smart, bilingual individuals who are going to come here. It doesn't help you, right? It doesn't help the scenario. It doesn't help. That's what people are always worried about, right? When new immigrants come, oh, they're going to come here and take our jobs, No, they're probably going to be more qualified than you, and you're not going to be able to get the job that they're even qualified to get for the most part. What they're going to do is they're going to definitely suck up social assistance for lower income people who are minorities. That's what they will do. They won't likely take your job. Especially in a market like this that has the abundance of opportunity, right? They'll probably drive the cost of homes up. So home Homeowners will be very happy that there's 50,000 more people that are now looking for places to live. Landlords will drive the cost of their rent up because now there's going to be a demand crunch, and supplies will go low, and say, oh yeah, these people, they need places for them to live. And you'll start having stimulus where they'll say, well, we got to create more buildings because we've added 50,000 more people to our population here. We've got to create some buildings and places to put them. Grocery stores, sell more. Clothing stores, sell more. You know, the people buy cars. It's going to be a stimulus to the economy for the most part. But the lower middle guy, yeah, you're going to get squeezed a little bit because they're going to have programs for the Palestinian. They're going to have subsidies, grants, all kinds of things to assist them. But all those same things that you're looking for, they won't come your way. And so no ceasefire for the West means that you have an influx of a lot of Palestinians coming into your countries. For those who are open to that, those countries that are open to that, and Canada, we open our doors to anybody. And of course, like I said, when you're bringing a large group like that, how are you vetting them? Are you bringing a Hamas cell right into Canada? Absolutely, absolutely, they will be. You know, the difference is, and before everybody's like, well, that's a very racist thing to say, I want to give you guys a very clear difference. I want to give you a really big understanding, right, when it comes to a black man speaking on immigration of people coming from war-torn countries. Let me say first and foremost, you're not bringing people from the Congo, the number one genocidal place taking place on the planet right now. You're not bringing those guys over. You're not bringing Congolese over, women, children, elderly. You're not bringing them over, right? And in the 70s, when Caribbean people came here, guess what we didn't come from? We didn't come from a war-torn country. We were not potential terrorists whatsoever. We didn't know how to build bombs. We didn't come from a militant mentality. We didn't come from that, right? You didn't have to worry about that. You brought us over here. We came to go to school. We came to work. That's it. That's all we came for. But now, and before I even get to Palestine, when you bring West Africans over here, not bringing people who are going to go on welfare. You're bringing people who are going to go to school, who are going to want to live good, because contrary to popular belief, Africans don't like living low. Okay, when they come here, they want to go to school, they want to get degrees, they want to live good, they want to drive nice cars, they want to have nice clothes, they want to take their woman out and spend money on them, they want to live big. Okay, just so you know, they're not terrorists. You're not bringing terrorists. When you bring them from Ghana, when you bring them from Nigeria, you're not bringing terrorists, right? You're not dragging northern Nigerian down here either, because if they say the terrorism is up there, those aren't the people you're bringing over here, and those aren't the people wanting to come over here. But when you're bringing people from the Ukraine, war-torn countries, when you're bringing people from Palestine, you're bringing individuals, they're coming from war-torn countries, and you have to vet them now. You have to see who you're vetting. You have to know who you're vetting. Sure, you're bringing young girls and older women and little children, fine, all day long. But that's not all you're going to bring. And we know that. It's very clear. But again, I don't have these processes. That's not in my hands to do. Those are the people you should start with. Start with the single mothers and the mothers. Start with the grandmothers, older people, men over 65. But they don't do that. That's not what happens, right? So I don't know what to tell you. In the scenario that we're in, Trudeau's going to put 50,000 people right here in Canada, and God bless them. If they can get here, they can get here. But over the course of the last 40 years, we've had Somalians came over here, Ethiopians came over here, and random other West Africans have been allowed to come over here for various reasons. Okay, so it's been very difficult, but it's not been at the numbers that they're doing right now. So that ceasefire, no ceasefire, means a lot to the West. It means a lot. because people got to get out of Dodge. Israel, that's what Israel wants to. Israel wants to get rid of those 2 million people in their backyard and make them the problem of other people elsewhere in the world. And this is why they will not stop. This is why Gaza's going to be totally destroyed. And they're saying, oh, we're going to build it back. They're not building it back for them. They're not going to build it back in their lifetime either. They're not going to build that thing back in their lifetime. There will not be one bulldozer. There will not be one bricklayer in there building anything back for the so-called Palestinian. Because the Palestinian, in the eyes of Israel, the Israeli, is Hamas. And they are not, they're saying things like, oh yeah, you know, we don't hide behind babies. You killed our babies, you're hiding behind your own babies. They don't care. That's inconsequential, right? There's essentially no way to designate who is not who. And they figure if you're still there, you must be them. And I don't think there's a whole lot of remorse going on for that. The other thing is too, I really think people need to understand that if you've taken hostages, there should never be a ceasefire. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how can you even have a discussion about a ceasefire? You're taking hostages, and then you're asking for a hostage exchange, and you're asking to release 50, and you still want a ceasefire. You're not in a position to negotiate. You're not. And the rhetoric I've heard now is that even after Hamas has been destroyed, and this is how they say it, we are going to destroy Hamas. They're going to kill everybody who represents that place. That's what they're saying. Anybody who represents Hamas is going to die. That's a better way to say it, because that's what they mean. The next agenda is we're going to de-radicalize the young people who have been taught to immortalize death, right? So the martyr mentality, they realize it's not enough to kill every single solitary man, probably 18 and over. We've got to make sure that we have a campaign of de-radicalization of the young children who will be taught to grow up to avenge their fathers, their grandfathers, their uncles, their brothers, and their sisters and whatnot. So that's a long-term, that's not happening in 2 months, 3 months. Let's see what happens here. A Trail of Tears. That's a good documentary name. A Trail of Tears. This is an age-old fight, and the unfortunate blindness of it is that one side has been financed by the West, and one side has been financed by Iran and China. And clearly one side has more fight than the other. But this has been a Cold War development for a very long time. And these people have been placed in a position to fight each other. And there's some fights, you've seen it, there's some fights you gotta stand back and say, man, I guess we gotta let them fight, bro. Can't even break them up. Israel will not be broken up. They will not be pulled off. They will not be told to stop. They will not be told to slow down. They will not be told to cease fire. They will not be told to, allow for a corridor, because they say we've created a corridor. We've created a corridor. We've allowed them to escape to this particular area. We've done that. The claim is that we have not broken any. We've not committed any war crimes. We've been very adherent to everything that we're supposed to do. Well, not so much, right? Lack of water, lack of electricity, these kind of things, But they've said we're paying very close attention to the mechanisms of modern warfare and what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, I guess they're practicing common sense. You're not going to feed your enemy. You're not going to allow your enemy to get aid. You're not going to allow your enemy to get into. If you're trying to kill somebody, you're not going to allow them to get hospital treatment. I keep asking, who is really scattered? Turtle Island is my home, but others are running it. Okay. Yeah. Right now, you're about to see. I said it earlier. You're going to see a new Israel. Unless some other superpower steps in, you're going to see a whole new Middle Eastern area, because Israel is now going to realize they don't have to stop in northern Gaza. They can, southern Gaza, West Bank, they can do whatever they want. And in Lebanon, so there's going to be a lot of extension of what Israel is doing. War is good for the economy. Stock market should be booming. All the manufacturing that has to go on. These things cost millions of dollars to make one missile. They're dropping thousands a week. So again, there's a lot going on that it's easy to see, but no ceasefire. And Netanyahu's not stopping. I don't even know why. I don't even know why people think he would. I said it initially. And I know many of you have humanitarian ideas in respect to what you think should happen right now. But I mean, the greatest humanitarian idea for me is self-preservation. If you're a Palestinian, leave as best as you can. Get out of harm's way as best as you can. This is a political game, and it's too dangerous to play with your life. Me personally, if I'm a Palestinian, I'm getting out of the way. Okay, I'm getting my family, I'm getting myself, I'm getting out of the way. At all, you got a bully with a big gun, a whole lot of bombs. Get out of the way. Right. And start crying to international communities. Now, I don't know why everybody wants to come here first. Personally, I'd be going to Spain or something. I want to hang out in Portugal. If you asking me to come, so I want to go to Hawaii, Miami, cold Canada. What do you want to come up here for? Hey, thanks, bro. Appreciate you. I just cut the line sometimes. I do that. But I don't understand why people expect Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire. I don't know why the international community would expect Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire. And I don't know why anybody has not said at the same time, ceasefire and all hostages must be returned. Like, that's a very basic thing. Sure, I said it days ago. If you want a ceasefire, send them hostages out. That's it. What's going on, my brother? Send them hostages out. I personally believe Israel doesn't even care if those hostages are there or not. I think Israel blasted regardless. They're not thinking about hostages. They're blowing stuff up too fast to be worried about hostages. So I don't think there's any hostages to send out, personally. Might be some hidden. I don't know where you can hide them. Because the amount of bombs I've been hearing dropping in those areas, I don't know where they're going to be able to hide them. And it's intermittent bloodshed going on over there, right? So I don't know what to do. But anyway, going back to the biggest conversation to me, is the conversation of faith, and that this is really compelling a lot of people to examine their faith. And it's funny when you hear people say, I'm examining my faith, but I'm not really a religious person. I'm not about religion. What are you talking about? Okay? Because, what's this? Because religion is what you're dealing with. Religion is what you're dealing with. I don't know, somebody's trying to get their earbuds connected to my phone. This is about religion. these conversations are about religion. When you're having a crisis of faith, where you have believed in something for a very long time, and you're having a crisis of faith, this is about religion. Your religious viewpoints are being they're being shook, and you're trying to figure out where you should stand. So this is not about I'm not about religion. This is about you are about religion. You're trying to figure out what religion you should follow. And so we're going to have that conversation later. We're going to try to address that conversation and where you should be with religion and what you should acknowledge about religion. And I'll say this as a teaser. It's not possible to be in two faiths. These two, all the Abrahamic faiths, from Judaism to Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, they don't agree. They don't agree. Right? This is why they're religions. They don't agree. They're different. They have core values that are different. They do not agree with each other. You can't be in both. So we'll have that discussion later. God bless you. 40 minutes of fun. We'll have it tonight, if possible. Maybe I'll get my friend on, and we'll see if Tristan has time for that tonight. But like I said, it will not be a ceasefire, because ceasefire, it's good for business, and it's definitely good for Israel, but it's very bad for Palestine. We'll talk later.